Hey, welcome back. It is Dave 2 here to do the second part of the two-part session that started with Angel in the Desert. And now we're going to take a look beyond the veil after what happened in that last session and see where it goes. If you didn't see that video, it's going to be here somewhere. I'll make a clicky link if I can figure out how to do that on YouTube. And if not, it's just the last video that I had. I would go watch that first to get all the context for it. To recap real quick, that was somebody ended up in my DMs. They were very knowledgeable. They tasked me with David Morehouse's angel experience in the desert that he detailed in Psychic Warrior. And I thought that was the only task, and I thought I was getting a retask, but they were like, this is actually the main task. So I went and did that later in the day. And I think I spent a lot more time on this one than 10 minutes. It'll be a fun one. So when I went to do the task, I got the impression that the tasking wasn't set, and you'll hear that in the raw audio. So I was thinking, you know what? I really want to do a session right now. Just move to the time that they figure it out and that they've set the intent for what it is that they want, and let's roll with it. The data, they said I effing nailed it. So I was really pumped about that. And what it kind of came out to is, how is the angel David Morehouse encountered in the desert in Jordan, as told in his book Psychic Warrior, even possible? In our reality, how like, what has to happen? How is that possible? What is the truth behind that? Right? That's where they wanted to go with it. So in my interpretation here, I talk about that miscommunication. I thought it was already set. I moved to when it was set. That seemed to work. I liked the intent. How could it be possible? The tasker also got feedback from somebody else that went down the simulation theory route. That's where I'm going to go here. And it ultimately went in the direction that they liked. And it was that there is some kind of intelligence outside of manifested reality that is able to interact with it and change it. So to give my ChatGPT summary of this, let me see if I can take a drink. In the continuation of a remote viewing session, the viewer explores a complex and multidimensional space that feels like a blend of symbolic constructs and conceptual realms. The session begins with a sense of uncertainty about the tasking, leading to the exploration of a structure reminiscent of Petra and Jordan, followed by the encounters with a green vortex and a black void. That is kind of like my visual gestaltic thing for something magical is happening, both of which seem to symbolize different states or realms. The viewer experiences a void that feels like a loading zone for physical manifestations, a contrasting white space that appears to be a gathering point or departure area for non-physical entities, akin to a soul's loading zone. The viewer senses a deeper, hidden structure to reality with references to simulation theory, emergent properties, and the idea that existence is part of a larger, possibly infinite multiverse. The session ends with the viewer reflecting on the symbolic nature of the experience, the interconnectedness of different realms, and the possibility of hidden truths with the complex layers of existence. I'm a logical, left-thinking engineer. There is no way I could come up with a story this awesome, so it's a fun one. Here's the main points from it. Did the movement command to get the tasking, got the same spiral vortex. I thought this was going to be a totally separate retask. So when I land and I'm back at the Astral Temple, I go back to in through the corridor to this room with the pillar. I'm thinking, what's going on? But this time, this green and black vortex kind of enveloped it. And I went into it and went straight down. And that's where I entered this black void. I described the black void as like the movie The 13th Floor. If you haven't seen it, it's a simulation theory thing. Go watch the movie. It's freaking awesome. And the scene in the Steven Spielberg movie about the video game stuff, the virtual reality stuff, basically there's this under area to reality that's black, and things vibrate into existence and pop into our reality. While I'm there, I encounter a gray alien. I'm not sure that these are actual gray aliens. I think when I encounter these, and I encounter them a lot, I think it's a mental projection of something, and that's the way that I perceive it. But that's just me. Let's see here. The emergent properties in AI, analogy to human consciousness. I mentioned the movie Divergent, that if you're not familiar with that, this is like the third or fourth time this happened at this point. They toss everybody into Chicago in Divergent, and what they're hoping is that people break out of their categorization and that new emergent properties happen. So who is the AI that we're trying to break out? What is the thing that we're looking for emergent properties? We are humanity, according to this. After I got done talking to Space Alien Dude, I went back up through the portal thing, and that sent me vertically up to a white space room. I have visited the white space room several times now in blind sessions. This is F-Zero, fully unblind, had no idea. And the comparison I give is to Michael Newton's book, Journey of Souls, and the movie Soul. It's basically there's this big white room. We have a thing from a prior session where I went to a throne room and I get portaled up to this place, and it's like sit in a giant lady's shoe and join a Zoom call with people. That's kind of what it's like. So the soul part is that there were people, kind of like avatars of people, the silhouette, stepping forward to these door portals and like going through like it's an airport. It was like their departure for souls and stuff. So I basically have under is this black manifested reality spot. Above this area is this white void. And then after that, there's this enormous sphere in the middle of those two. And they're not actually above and below. They're technically occupying the same space. It just works better to explain it as above and below. It's like an easier concept to get than the whole white void, the whole black void, and the whole manifested reality all occupying the same space. My conclusion that I came out is that humans are something that is, we are the aliens, we're injected into the system, and that there's this outside group or entity that is looking to see an emergent property. For those who are on like the whole prison planet thing, that's exactly what this is it's like we're in a simulated prison planet, we can't escape, we're the experiment, and they're looking to see us evolve in some particular way. So yeah, this is uncontrolled remote viewing at its finest. We're going to go absolutely off the rails here. Here's some AI images that I generated showing up to the temple, going through. It always looks Egyptian-like, which is fun. A light beam down on this. We saw that in the last session. The black void. I meet the gray alien dude. The white void. Walking around the doorways. And manifested reality. So that's about it. Take a listen to the raw session. Let me know what you think. I almost had to beg the person for feedback. I was like, I did 2 sessions. Can I please know? You seem happy. You said I nailed it. Let's see what it is. And very happy about it. I think both of these are not negative or anything to David Morehouse. I think it's very positive, and it basically implies that, yeah, he was endued with something incredible. It's kind of a similar story to what we hear with a lot of people that get NDEs. So without further ado, here's the raw session. Thanks for watching. This is Dave 2 on 2024 at p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Doing the continuation of a target from earlier. I guess it was the preliminary target. And now I'm moving on to the real deal. They said that they had not yet set the tasking and that they were going to reach out to somebody for help. I don't know if they have done that yet, but we are outside of time and space right now, so who cares? Taking an initial look, it feels like a squished figure 8, which to me implies that there's like a decision point that's post trying to figure out like what exactly the target is. It does feel like there's some like multidimensionality of the tasking there, where the tasking doesn't feel set. So I'm going to make a movement command immediately to just say to move to the correct intent of what this person is trying to imply. And from there, this little thing kind of like folds together, like, like the folds of a baseball, how there's two of those. It kind of like forms the sphere. And then I'm like, cool, I have a thought form that I can go interact with and do. And yeah, that feels like a good intent. I don't know what that is. You might not know either right now, but we're going to roll with that. So I'm going to take that off, do an ideogram. In the ideogram, it feels a little bit spiral vortex-y like the last one, but then it like my arm like loses all energy and it's like, nope, not going to do anything. And there's stuff going on there, but it's only mentally, it zaps all my physical energy away. I forgot to reball. I'm going to reball just in case. Weird. So I'm back at, I've taken this ideogram, I'm opening it up, and I'm kind of back at that location. There's the two walls next to me, but it's in higher detail. And then the left and right things actually feel like they go further back. And then there's this protruding Petra Jordan style thing that comes out in front of me. And there's some sort of vault on the inside. The other thing that's odd is I just watched, is it Johanna James is the gal? I watched her talking about the 2-meter tall passageway things underneath that. Anywho, just putting that in the record because I thought about it. Okay, where are we going with this? There's that front entryway thing with the cylindrical, or not the cylindrical, the rectangular passageway. Go through that. There's the room. There's something to do with this where, I didn't really say this, but when the green mist thing happened in the last session, every time that I've gotten that, the target's been something occult related. So it'd be like, investigate the craziest thing the OTO has done, or just random magical stuff. Now in that room around the pedestal thing, there's like this green vortexy thing that funnels up and funnels down from it. And it feels like it's an invitation to basically leave the room, kind of like a portal. And all this stuff is so far out there that the only thing that I can make of that is that it's all symbolic. Yeah, it all feels like a mental construct, which is why it's giving me the Inception vibes of a dreamlike. I thought this was going to be a totally different task. Like that was like one, and then this is something completely different. So I'm a little bit surprised that it's taking me to the same spot, but then like putting a different flair over top of it. So if this is directional, down, up, wants me to go down, going through that. So if I just like look down, then now all of a sudden my up would be whatever's to the right. I don't know. It's like the vortex wasn't down, it was straight, is like my new perspective. So I'm going through that. This feels just like a black, empty space, like a void. Okay. There's like no gestalts here. It does feel like a flat planar void. AOL breaking the simulation. In my astral dot vision, there is kind of like this ripply planar effect. So it's like I'm standing on a perfectly flat surface, but then if I do anything, it like ripples vision of there being a flat surface there. And it's this blue dot matrix type thing is the way that I see stuff. Okay. Pure blackness. There seems to be this. It's flat. There's no texture. I would describe it as astrally because it's some like mental weird construct thing. Conceptual in nature. Those are the dimensions. There's void nature to it. It doesn't feel dimensionally here. Like I can't like pinpoint it like downtown or across the ocean. It feels completely independent of any spatial relationship. The aesthetic impact that I have is I feel like I'm in a simulation. It reminds me of AOL, the 13th Floor. If you've seen that movie where they're living in a simulation and stuff, and they have the simulation within the simulation. Okay. So tangible thing, we're going to switch over to S4. Tangible thing is this empty planar void. What is intangible about it? The first thing I heard was you found it. I found what? it's like it showed me a flash of the classic liminal zone where it's this like weird, awkward, uninhabited space. I just got chills. Woo. Like, I feel like I'm being watched from every angle right now. Reball. Okay. Wow. That is, oh my God. I'm so creeped out. I feel like I'm surrounded by beings or something. Creep. Is this a immune response or something? A little bit. I feel like there's a sense that we're doing things that we're not supposed to be doing. Danger, danger, get out. Normally, I would stay in session because I have a monitor who can help me. But at the moment, I'm feeling like living dangerously. Maybe I'll psychically ping Woody Woo and say, hey, get myself into some trouble. Okay, we pinged him. I will see if I hear a ping waiting for me. Let me make sure it's still recording. Yeah, it's still going. We're like 10 minutes in. How? Okay, we're in this void. I feel surrounded. My reball bubble is up. It feels like there is that. I didn't realize this until just now, but everything had this like yellow, smoky hue to it. And it was like encroaching on me. And that reminded me of the stuff in the hallway like thing originally of the first session that I had to basically jump through. That stuff it's like styrofoam, because styrofoam is some sort of, well, like petrol product that is filled with air. So there's all these air pockets. So it's like a lattice matrix of stuff. And like, if I look at it, it looks like quantum woo-woo particles collectively together, because there's like strands of things and these reactions of like I don't know, like different like push and pull type of reactions. But it's like this big homogeneous thing that kind of just goes and fills spaces like a gas. We were trying to S4 this tangible thing, which is this void that we found. What is intangible about it? Man, there were like so many things that just raced through my head in those 2 seconds. It showed like the underground scene from that movie by Steven Spielberg, which also happens to be a simulation game. I forget what it's called though, where like in order to beat it, he goes backwards in the race and then goes underneath and sees everything from outside. Similarly, there was a Flatland thing, and it was showing me the Mr. Dr. Quantum thing and their depiction of Flatland. It showed me this all happened in 2 seconds. That's why I know it's a download. The Orville, they did a Flatland, which was kind of cool. I don't know if you've seen the Orville by Seth MacFarlane, but they did a whole episode on that. It kind of showed that. And there was another one that was basically like, it was like underneath a video game or something. I don't know if you ever played like Grand Theft Auto or any of those, and like you see underneath the map. So you're on the opposite side of the faces. So those don't have any texture to them, but then you can see through certain things. It's kind of like this loading area to load objects into the game, but like underneath the thing. So it's outside, but it's like there as like the staging or building environment. Sweet. What is intangible about this void? The green misty stuff is the weird mysticism thing where, you know, like we feel like we call it magic. What is magic? Magic is just an understanding that the universe is vibration and that we are vibration and that we're all part of one vibration, therefore like universal consciousness stuff. And there's like the black magic stuff, which is like a mastery of it. And it's kind of showing me that like this loading spot that's a blank space or whatever, this is where you can spin up things. So it feels very manifestation like this is the spot where you can make something happen. If this is on target, fucking cool target, man. Otherwise, I don't care. I'm having a good time. I feel like I've teased out what is intangible about this void. And yeah, when you make something in this void, it like pops up the top, like this invisible ceiling. And then that goes into 3D manifested reality. It's like a big void box that I can't explain it dimensionally, but like it's under everything everywhere. So not just the surface of this, of like Earth, but like the crust, like whatever it is, it's the fourth dimensionally, like outside of it as this like loading area to pop stuff in. Cool. Anything that I regret about this void? My perception turned around and there's just like a smaller entity standing in front of me. I would call it NHI, non-human intelligence. I'm in a Cowboy originally was meant for this purpose, was to take a thought form or something and to probe it. It's very gray alien like. Hello, Mr. Gray Alien. What are you doing here? I found your void. I'm taking a look. It feels like getting caught by a security guard. Some sort of like, you're a curious type, aren't you? Kind of being a smartass. What is it about this space that makes you not want me here? It feels like a space that we're not meant to see. It's like being in the wrong angle of a magic trick and having something spoiled for you. It's showing him trying to like force move me from this perspective in the void through the ceiling to pop back into physical reality. And I'm like, while I'm doing this, there's a conversation going on and I'm like, I am in physical reality, but this is kind of like a second body that I am here mentally talking to you with. And they're like, yeah, it's like they know it's possible. That's an old movie, Divergent. So there's this, okay, I'm getting another download of stuff. In Divergent, the book and the movie and stuff, they're in some sort of simulated reality. They take Chicago, they put it behind a wall, and then they kind of put them into factions and they set some rules. But then you find out later, spoiler alert again, that you find out that they're actually in an experiment, and the purpose of the experiment was to produce something that was not the 4 category or 5 categories of people that they had. And they call them divergents because they're not just one, they're like a combination of many. So it was looking for emergent properties. And it feels a little bit like that, where like this 4th dimensional sphere of like all reality that we have is kind of like that, where there's things that are put into this to look for emergent properties. So you set the rules of like the game of life. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's this 2D grid where depending on what dots are next to each other, more dots form, and you can have like self-replicating structures and stuff. I think it's called the game of life. And it's a little bit like that, where it's like setting up something, observing it, and then waiting for something cool to happen. And that whole second body thing is a little bit like that, where it's like it's not planned into the design of it, but it seems to be an emergent property. And this little gray alien dude's just like, well, that's neat that something got figured out like that. And that might have been the purpose. The other thing that I had is I'm a software security architect and I work a lot with AI. And I've been touting off that like what we're doing right now with AI is like a single trip down the neocortex brain pattern recognition machine. And that's what, like the AI neural net thing is modeled after. And what's missing is the feedback loop. But as soon as you add the feedback loop, you might see emergent properties that would lead to artificial general intelligence, AGI. And that would be something more akin to us. And it's kind of the ghost in the machine, seeing these emergent properties come about and create something. So that was kind of a quick little boom, flash. You get it in like a second, takes like a minute to explain everything. So it seems like there's something emergent that's happening that's allowing us to come find the void, but it wasn't intended. And it's like a duality thing where it's like they made the AI system not expecting AGI, and then AGI was like a happy or bad surprise. They're like unsure how to react to this thing. It was like, yeah, we want AGI, but then it's like, do you? I don't know. And I'm not saying it's AGI. I'm just using that as an analogy, or AOL or something like that. Okay. Anything that you're not telling me, Mr. Gray Alien looking dude? The Gray Alien facade seems to be something that I am projecting onto it, but it kind of like can morph and be anything. It's like there's this outside entity. Move to the outside and show me what this entity is. It almost feels like those video game-esque things of like an avatar. There's that movie or that TV show Upload, and it's like a support person is outside and then they beam themselves into the video game for like the afterlife and stuff. It's kind of like that. Like this is like an avatar that can be anything, but ultimately like they're totally somewhere else completely. And then there's three different things. There's that, there's the void, there's the physical space. That'd be cool if this was a simulation theory target. Or real life, which means we're in the simulation. Okay. That was down. What if I popped up through that message thing and went vertically? Oh man. Okay, so this is like a heaven and hell type thing where like down below is black void and up above is like a white space. It's kind of voidy. It's like a white, pure white room. Everything is very bright. Oh my God. I was just talking about this and people were asking about it. The session about going into the light. I don't know if I'm overlaying past data onto this or if I'm experiencing the same thing. Like I found the same target. Move to the optimal position of what I'm experiencing for this target. Gone to the temple looking thing, gone into the room. There's the pedestal. There's the green vortex. We went down to the void. We're going up to this white space. This is like the opposite. Okay, so the black void is for like physical manifestation stuff. And then this is like it is the same type of place. There's Michael Newton's, I think that's his name, Journey of Souls book that I compared it to, where it's like a loading place for souls. There's these soul groups with like a leader and like 100 people or entities or like whatever the fuck we are. Our souls are like there. And it's kind of this like weird meet and greet of stuff or like the movie Soul. Man, my subconscious is just chock full of symbolism today. I love it. It's kind of fun. And that it feels like a loading zone for that. Like everything else is all the physical stuff. And this is the opposite loading zone for all of the life form people, the pods. Okay. What is intangible about this place, the white place? That's the tangible thing. What is intangible about it? It's showing lots of people taking like a single step forward, and it feels like an airport, some travel place, like a place of departure. And then they walk through these portal things and like they drop down. So the last one was up, this drops down, and then they're dropping into that. I'm seeing like all of physical reality, like all of existence or whatever, as this like huge self-contained sphere. Whereas when you go into the sphere, there's no way out of the sphere. Inside the sphere is infinite. And the sphere representation is just my three-dimensional visual way of representing it. But it is like a self-contained space. But inside of the self-contained space is infinite space. This is why I love Cowboy. That is such a cool feeling. Like it's just cool to feel the kinesthetic proprioception dimensionality of that. That is wild. So these soul being things are like dropping through this. That's AOL like signing up to do something or fun or whatever. Okay. What is intangible about this white space? It feels like there's a purpose, but like the purpose isn't necessarily known. And what I'm comparing it to is like recreational fun things that we do, but we don't know why we do them. You can get into like a weird philosophical loop about like why we like water parks or roller coasters or more mundane things than that though. I don't know. There's like this weird like fun enjoyment / productive thing. That's the analogy. Team sports, right? Where if you just look at like playing football or soccer or basketball or something, there's that dynamic. But when you think about it from like a warrior culture or like needing to collaborate as a society. So like if there's a small society of people, it's this social teamwork thing where you learn to take dependencies on other people, and it produces this nice network mesh of sociality, because we as a species wouldn't have evolved to this point if, you know, like literally everything in this room is basically built by somebody else. And I'm just sitting here in something that's built by the hands of other people. But then, you know, we're talking on some technology type of stuff that I work on. And that's helping record this and do all that and share it to you. And that all comes down to like this team sport aspect where there's this hidden, yes, it's fun, but there's also this like thing that nobody realizes that they're benefiting from. And the reason why evolutionarily it succeeded and why it was such a good thing for society. There's that aspect. That is a deep intangible for this white space area. Okay. What is intangible about this area? You know, it's showing it's showing the white space. It's showing the circle manifestation sphere in the middle, the black space below. And then it's like, you really think that's the edge? And it's basically showing that that's a self-contained thing and that there's a space outside of it. And outside of it feels like really, to me, vast distance stuff. That's full color, like lots of different colors, full spectrum, everything. But it feels like that goes on for infinity as well. And that this is just like one little tiny thing. So it's showing that that's just a drop in the ocean. It's our whole existence. I don't know why. Yeah. Yeah, it's basically saying like, this may seem big to you. However big that is to us, the same ratio of that to the rest of it. So that's like whole multiversal craziness. Other tangible are all of these entity soul-like things. What can you tell me about them? It's us. There's that insectoid. What the fuck? There's this weird thing that I get where I feel like we're insects, and I don't know why. It's not reptilian brain. It's like insect brain. Like we're these like fucking weird creature things that are basically like we're the aliens in the system. We're the aliens on Earth. Everything else comes from that black void. We come from this white one. Like we're like injected here in order to have that spark of something else happen, have the divergent, have the emergent property of the system, the AGI, the societal benefit of playing a game. Those are all completely similar analogies to some sort of thing where like we're combining in this soup of stuff in order to have something emerge out of it. It's like Ender's Game. That's funny. Deep stuff. So I am moving to like an analysis phase of it, which is kind of natural. Sometimes this happens, which is basically saying that like this steps outside of manifested reality and kind of sees the secret sauce, sees how the sausage is made, the things that we're not supposed to see. It looks like there's this black void loading area, and then there's this other white one. And that's all contributing to this. It feels like we're basically trapped in this three-dimensional system, and there's these outside systems that are actually contributing to it. It corrected me that it's not really like we're trapped. It's more like the gigantic thing is like one gigantic cell, and there's these points of integration between them that we travel through, but it's a little bit more symbolic analogies. I love my subconscious. That's cool. But it's basically saying that it's like travel where like there's a passport in this and proper times and protocols and stuff. And it all operates smoothly, kind of like a ticking machine. Is that, yeah. Okay. Have I answered the target question? It feels like something to ponder on, to think about. It's like doing research where you're not really sure what question you're supposed to be asking. And you go into a room with somebody who's knowledgeable or whatever, and they spit off a bunch of stuff that they know. And it's a flood of information, like sucking on a fire hose. Some of it sticks, some of it does not. So it seems like this might be a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff like that. But yeah. Okay, what would I regret most about this session? It's basically just saying, just draw the white box, draw the black box, draw the sphere in the middle. And the white box and the black box, it's not really like that because neither of them are actually directionally related. It's like two things that pop out of existence. So where is it? It's everywhere. The black box is in every point. Like no matter where you go, what you do, it's there. The white box, same thing. Are they overlapping the same space? No. Do they have the same link into our physical manifestation world? Yes. So technically, like, you can't even draw it. You can just talk about it and describe it. Anything else that I would regret in this session? My subconscious said, man, you really went on one. That might mean this is a big whiff, but I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to end session. That was 35 minutes. Nice. End session.